Hello. I think we're going to have a lot of friends filtering in, but I'm going to just kick this off because we've got really good speakers and I don't want us to be short on time. So, our first speaker, you have gotten to hear before already. I'm glad she's back, Amy Shipley. So, she's the managing director of Sterling Rice Group. She's really a food industry pro and a top global marketer. She lives in Boulder, and I think she's really been sort of a driving force of working with chefs and being on top of the plant-forward movement on restaurant menus. So she's going to talk to you about some cool, innovative trends.
All right. Happy Friday, everybody. We're so happy you guys are here. We're very close to the weekend. Yay. Okay, so I'm going to spend a few minutes just showing you some hot trends in plant-based and talk a little bit about it, then show you some stats and facts, and we can have a discussion afterward. So I'm going to kick off. If I can work the technology here. I'm going to skip over who we are. You all know who we are, blah, blah, blah. Couple things. Anyone familiar with the Next forecast? You guys seen this around? It is something that we put together with New Hope Media in conjunction with Expo West, which has a focus on natural foods and organics. The latest report is coming out, is just going to press actually now. There we go. Whoa, rock and roll. Is actually going to press this week, and it'll be off, ready for you guys in about 2 weeks. Get it. If you're interested in organics, natural foods, macro platforms, the future of food in that space, it's a really great report to have as a supplier or even a chef or a commodity, okay? So just check it out. We also have our new trends coming out from SRG. We just launched last week. You'll see it starting to get picked up in the New York Times and other media sources. I know everyone does their trends report, but we actually do ours before the year starts, looking to the future, and just a couple of ideas are up here. The printouts are outside if you sail out and you want to grab one, or shoot me an email and I'll get you a PDF. They're also on our website. Moringa is the thinga, is one of the trends that we're looking at for next year, which is a really cool leaf product that's in Africa and Southeast Asia, and it really helps with antioxidants, and it has an anti-inflammatory. We're seeing it all over beverage menus, especially on the coast and in Boulder, which I mentioned on Wednesday night is a real hotbed for athletes. And that's where I'm really going to base my conversation about, is kind of when I moved to Boulder 8 years ago and seeing this huge movement in plant. The one thing I wanted to say, and this is super controversial, but I'm just going to put it out there, is I love the whole plant movement because of the health and wellness standpoint, the environmental aspects. But the truth of the matter is I started to see it kind of come of age in food service because of money, you know? And in the bottom line is you kind of got to follow the money if you want the truth of some trends. And, you know, when commodity prices were going through the roof, whether it be beef or poultry and dairy, et cetera, a lot of chefs were left with like, man, we're just losing our shirts here. What are we going to do? How are we going to evolve our menus and start making some more money? And that's when really the focus turned to plants, what I observed, working with plants. And working with plants is hard. It's hard to coax, you know, amazing new flavors from vegetables. And we had the same thing happen on Wednesday, right? It's the silky hair. Yeah, happening again. I got to stop conditioning my hair, I guess. But that's really, I think, where a lot of this bloomed out of for food service. And again, it all sounds nice with the environmental message, but the truth is these guys were really struggling and trying to find a new way to feature something on the center of the plate. So I just want to show you a couple cool things, because I always like to talk about food. We all like to look at food and check it out. We do these things called street dives for the pros. They're for chefs primarily. We travel around the world. A lot of people do culinary immersions. These tours that I lead really get to the culinary underbelly of what's happening in a scene. And we choose our cities based on strategies, whether it's a look through, you know, Generation X's eyes, whether it's a focus on flavors or spices. And then we do a lot of brainstorming when we're actually in the field. And I'm looking for spots, whether it's retail or a food truck or a restaurant, stuff that people aren't really writing or reading or blogging about. We want to see really what's on the cutting edge. And I do like to say we can all sit in these beautiful theaters over and over each year, but you know, if you really want to see what's going on in the food scene, you got to get out there. You got to get out there. You got to taste. You got to see. You got to experience for the first time, and that's really the message behind Street Dive. So these are just a couple of things that I've seen around the country that have been pretty cool for me. I'm going to start, of course, in Boulder, Colorado, with a restaurant called Leaf. And if you do come to Boulder, check it out. And what I love about plant-based is that it goes high and it goes low. It fits all these trends. But Leaf does a beautiful job completely reimagining what the plate could look like. This is an avocado tartare, so it's got a beautiful sliced tossed avocado on the bottom. And then it's layered with these beautiful cremini mushrooms that are sliced really thick on top. And then it's got this orange pico de gallo. It's a starter, sells for $8, not bad, but it's really, really delicious. They also have this really cool deconstructed sushi salad. So if you think about a sushi roll, they kind of deconstruct the whole thing and make this delicious kind of chopped salad. I mean, yum, yum. So it's a really cool concept. Love this. Has anyone been to Bad Hunter in Chicago? Yeah, excellent. Fabulous, right? Amazing. They do amazing, amazing stuff with their vegan menu. But this is a fry bread with pickled onions, burrata, chili oil, and dill. I mean, put burrata on anything, right? And it like makes it amazing. But they do a tremendous job at Bad Hunter. And then my friend, Rich Landau in Philadelphia. Has anyone been to his fine dining restaurant, which is veg, or has the cookbook? If you don't have the cookbook, get the book. It's really great. He has veg. He's got V Street, which is his fast casual concept. And then he had the audacity last year to take on the Philly cheesesteak, which everyone was like, come on, man. So he launched Whiz Kid, and Whiz Kid is in the Whole Foods there in Philadelphia, brand new Whole Foods right by the Art Museum. So what it is really thinly sliced seitan and mushrooms, super, super thinly sliced, fried onions, pickled peppers, and then the play on whiz is he uses rutabagas. And you can't really tell by the picture here, but you know, like cheese whiz has that like really weird color that like doesn't exist in real life. But rutabagas actually create that weirdo color too. So you've got the whole experience. I took a bunch of guys from my office there who like are huge meat eaters. And then of course they had to go to Pat's, right? But then they sailed over here, and I gotta tell you this thing is delicious. So make sure you check it out. So it's happening again, high, low, we're making big inroads. Impossible Burger. So we've talked a little bit about Beyond Meat today, and Impossible is actually a client of mine. They're very, very cool. They're based in San Francisco. They are going after carnivores, okay? This is a plant-based burger, and there's been a huge growth of plant-based burgers in the marketplace because trying to fulfill that need for the better burger space. Impossible Foods is interesting because it tries to replicate meat down to everything, to the texture, to the flavor. The secret behind it, when you read about it, is this product called heme. And heme is essentially hemoglobin, a form of hemoglobin. And you can actually, it's in all of us, and you can extract it from plants. And what they've done, Pat Brown, who's the scientist, very well-known scientist who created this company, is extracting heme and actually putting it into the burger, and that's what gives it this like yummy, carnivorous, juicy flavor. And you can get it over here at Gott's if you want to check it out. And also at Hop Daddy, Bear Burger. It's at Chris Cosentino's places in San Francisco, Tracy Desjardins, famous because David Chang is backing it. But it's a really interesting play on burgers. And again, they care about vegans, but their main focus here is the environment. And Pat firmly believes that meat should be gone. He's like, it's just not sustainable, okay? And we've got to do something about it, and we all love our hamburgers in the US. So I want to show you this video. It has nothing to do with us. We didn't take this video. This came off YouTube, but some reactions about the Impossible Burger and what people thought about it. The good, the bad, the ugly.
I haven't had any like ground or land meat for like 9 years.
I had some yesterday, but
heard some murmurs that is pretty
Little
good.
I didn't give up meat because it tastes bad, so I still would love a really solid substitute, and I've heard that this is it. Did you say it bleeds?
I'm hoping that if this burger is as advertised, that I won't have to eat meat anymore.
I'm expected to be disappointed.
Oh my God.
I'm pretty excited about this right now.
If I didn't know better, I would look at this and think this is a burger.
It actually smells like ground beef.
Oh my God.
Looks
It
pretty
looks
real.
pretty juicy.
Oh, look. Wow. 1, 2, 3. What?
Yep. Tastes like a burger.
It's got a char on it, just like a burger would.
It kind of has that like crunch that you sometimes miss.
This can't not be me. This isn't impossible.
It's really nice that you do have to remind yourself you're eating a veggie burger.
This is light years ahead of any other fake burger.
All right, for all of you who think you had too much wine last night, I think there's a little issue with the sound and the words, but you got the gist. It's super shocking for people, but you know, there's issues. So we're launching in food service. It'll be ready for retail probably next year. And there's consistency issues, and you'll find that. Sometimes they're perfect, sometimes they're not. And it's all about training back of house because they don't cook like a burger on a flat top. And we all know that there's, you know, with labor crisis in food service, it's very difficult to get folks to really understand how to cook the burger properly. So those are kind of some of the issues that they're working through right now. Okay, I'm going to go back to veg, and I'm going to give a shout out to John Barkley, who's up there in that control center. CIA did some really cool work for us in innovation around potatoes this past year, and that's where I happened to have a chance to meet Rich Landau and his wife, Katie Jacoby, and she did some really cool things with potatoes. I'm going to show you kind of one of the surprising plant-based items they came up with.
The inspiration behind the potato scallops was just finding this beautiful presentation on the plate. The wow factor for this dish was the fact that you're taking something that most people see as familiar and completely just undoing it and turning it into something really unique, something completely unexpected. For the potato scallops, we chose to use the red potatoes. The lack of starch really lets it stay together. The first thing you need to do is shave off 2 sides of it so you can lay it flat. That's going to give it your first caramelized face where it hits the sheet pan. Once they come out of the oven, that's when we're going to stamp them out with the ring mold. And once they're stamped out, we're going to pan-sear them in a shallow layer of oil and get that beautiful golden sear on the other side of the potato. Lay them down on a plate, and then you can cook a quick sauce in another pan. And this sauce was so simple. Garlic and shallot, a little bit of tomato, cook it down with vegetable stock, finish with olive oil and thyme, right on top, a few capers, and it's absolutely beautiful. Just because there's not any animal protein on the plate doesn't mean you can't have that same satisfaction when you're eating the dish.
Yeah, cool, huh? Yeah, he did it, and I'm like, oh my God, and I've showed that to people without any of the words, and they're like, wait, is that potatoes? I'm like, yeah. Rich also did this really cool thing with potato strands. He just spiralized them super thin. He's like, here's our new spaghetti. And then he mixed it with a little bit of chili oil and a few scallions. Delicious. And he serves it at V Street, which is his fast cash concept. Again, super cool, very inexpensive for the chef to create. Rethinking spaghetti in a new way. So really inventive guys. I want to talk about a few facts, and then we'll wrap up today. But interestingly enough, 45% of consumers believe consuming animal protein is a health concern. So that is really what's driving a lot of this interest in plant-based, as well as we kind of proceed through this journey together. But you'll see some of the contradictions that consumers, or I think Will says eaters, talk about in this sector. This is all from Data Essentials, by the way, and I know we have got Technomic here as well. 71% of us, though, are still meat eaters, okay? And when you think about, oh, vegan's so hot, it's growing like mad, you know, it's kind of slow. Okay, this is the growth this past year of people actually declaring themselves as vegan is less than 1%, where most of us really are stretching into being flexitarians, right? So we might be weekend warriors, so we might eat healthier or more indulgent on the weekend, or vice versa during the week. But that really is where the trends are. And then, however, they all say they want to eat less red meat, right? And they want to eat more vegetables, right? And they want to eat more plant protein. That's really hot. Protein, protein, protein. How much protein? That's the question mark, because most people, most Americans don't understand, right, how much protein they actually need. 50% are concerned with protein intake if they go meatless, though. So if we go meatless and you go into plant, which is a question I think we should discuss today, is how are you going to get your protein? You know, how are we embedding different items into these foods to make sure we're getting the right kind of protein source? So that's a big concern for folks. And then the top barriers for plant, they're just not necessary. A lot of Americans, as much as we all read about the future of plant, how it's hot, 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 a lot of folks are like, is this really the right thing? Are we really doing the right thing with this? And a lot of the guys that I worked with up at CIA for this fast casual seminar were like, it just doesn't taste good. You know, we have this amazing hot dog that was this roasted carrot, was topped with all these yummy fermented vegetables, and people were like, I don't know, man, it was fabulous, but it's kind of hard to get over that barrier. Is it going to satiate me? So you go out for, you know, eat at Rich's place at Veg, and are you going to be hungry 2 hours later? It's a big concern. It won't keep me full, have less protein, again, and then it lacks essential nutrients, which I think is really ironic given that it's all plant-based. One more thing. So the movement's here, and I know this is a little controversial, but you know, you got to hand it over to Dan Kudrow at McDonald's for last month launching the McVegan. It's happening, whether it tastes good or not. I've not tried it. It's in Finland. Maybe it'll make it to the U.S., but this is a big damn deal. When McDonald's takes on this trend and starts moving in this way, we know that Subway and other major chains are also moving in this direction. We've got a movement. So that's all I've got today. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Amy. Our next speaker is new to the stage, Thomas Bowman. He's the chef de R&D at Hampton Creek, a company you might have heard of that's just in the Bay Area. Thomas is a CIA alum too, so he's coming home. He went to our Greystone campus. He's developed numerous product lines and has cooked in some of the finest kitchens across the country. Please welcome Thomas.
How's it going, everybody? All right, so thank you, Nikki. So I've been a chef for over half my life now. I've worked in some great restaurants all over the world, the Moto Group in Chicago, Terra here in Napa Valley, and I am now developing products that are better for the world. And we'll start, wrong way. So Hampton Creek, we are just, and this is one of our philosophies, that food should be just. That, you know, good food should not just be for, you know, a few. Good food should be for everybody, and that's our main philosophy, is that our mission is we're building a system where everybody eats well. And to do this, we cannot do it alone. We need to have strategic partners around in food service, in restaurants, in chefs, in farmers, to really make this happen of where everyone is eating well. It needs to be delicious, affordable. It needs to be healthy protein, healthier fats, less sodium, and nutrient dense. So we have 3 ways that we're really looking at this. One is scale discovery. We need to find new ways of making better food. The other way is expand to meat and seafood. We think plants are incredible and they can do amazing things, and we've done some amazing things with them. But that's just one part of the problem. We think that there's ways of fixing the other parts. And the third is, like I said, you know, creating these partners, working with food service, working with chefs to get this done. So right now what we are doing is we're scanning through about 357,000 different species of plant life to find hidden food functionalities within them. There's only about 7 main crops that we grow around the world. And we really need to diversify and really find out what all of these other foods are, what potentials they have for creating new foods, to putting new dishes on menus. So this is one that we found. This is a 4,500-year-old legume, the mung bean, and we found some amazing potential in it. We've isolated a protein from this mung bean, and it acts and tastes just like an egg. It scrambles like an egg, cooks like an egg, creme brulees, cakes, cookies. It's a great dairy replacer as well. It can replace mono and diglycerides in pastas. So how this works is our discovery system, we source plants. We have a guy, Udi, who's a farmer as well as our sourcer, and he's been all over the world sourcing these unknown plant lives where we can then take them back. We mill them, and then we run them through our robotic system. We have about 8 robots that scan through the plant life. Before we were doing it by hand, and it would take about 5 people about an entire day just to get everything prepped to run a single isolate through the system. And now with the robots, we've greatly increased our capacity of what we can scan through. The second from last one, that's Heidi. She goes through and does all of the rheological properties, kind of the mouthfeel, the texture, the gelation of that for us, where she can do about 48 samples in about 2 days, where a team of 5, they can do about 5 in a day. So she's really increased our capacity. And then looking at these functions, how they can work for food, for menu development, for things that we've never seen before, foaming stability. We actually received the first ever patent issued for machine learning for food. So there's a lot of machine learning patents out there, but this one is specifically for finding food functionalities within things that have been undiscovered out there in the world, and that's what our robots are looking for. So the butter there is also from the mung bean. There are about 72 different ways you can isolate proteins from plants. And in these different isolations, we can find different functions from a single ingredient. Ice cream is another one where we can take water, the mung bean protein, a little bit of sugar, and a tiny bit of canola oil, and make an incredible ice cream that rivals some of the best ice creams out there, like Tuscanini's, who worked, I think, with MIT on creating a pretty incredible ice cream in Boston. And then the Just Scramble, which will be coming out here soon to food service, where chefs will be able to take this, and anything they could do with an egg, they can do with this Just Scramble. But it's healthier. It contains no cholesterol. It acts, looks, and tastes just like an egg. So coming up next, we have a few other, these are our code names for them. We give all of our discoveries code names of mythical creatures. So we have Sasquatch, Hippogriff, and Ryu there coming up down the pipeline. And as we're finding all of these functionalities, we don't have the bandwidth to tackle all of these. And that's why it's really important to work with chefs. There's one here that we work with. I don't know where Jason went, but working with chefs and other people in the food service industry to really make these products come to life. We may find that these can make great ice creams, but we may not have the manufacturing capabilities and bandwidth to do it. And so really working with other people to solve this problem of fixing this food system is how we're going to get it done. So we differ from a lot of other food companies in that the chefs kind of run the show at Hampton Creek. That's all of us there. There's myself, Trevor Nikowal, Nate Herford, Chris Jones, who's the head of our product development, Ben Roche, and Nate Park. So we follow our products from the lab, from the kitchen, all the way to production, where we ensure that what goes out to the consumer is exactly what we envision from the bench. This is kind of a unique stance, where a lot of places will outsource chefs and then hand that off to a food scientist, who then hands it off to a scale-up engineer, who then takes that to the manufacturer. And what goes out to the consumer is nothing like what the chef envisioned. So we ensure that everything that we produce is to our very strict chef standards. So these are just a few of the products that we've started working on, from just sour cream to pastas to ice creams, and all of this is just components of the plate, and then we start moving into the meat side of it. And how can vegetables really enable us to do that? And that's by expanding to meat and seafood. So what we've actually found is we're working on cellular agriculture, and we can actually take these proteins from these plants and feed them to cells in vitro and grow meat without ever having to slaughter another animal. Right now, this process has been around for about 50 years, but it's mainly been for the pharmaceutical industry. And the thing about this is to feed these cells, what they've been feeding them is basically animal blood. And we found a way to have a cell line where we can grow meat without having any animal, with no more animal inputs, where we can actually take proteins from plants and feed them to the cells to grow the meat. It's exponential growth, where we basically have a single cell. And if we can get that single cell to double 40 times, we've basically created 66,000 kilograms of meat in about a 40-day period of time. So how we do that is by taking those plant inputs and feeding them to the cells, and they grow exponentially. We've actually developed a line that is completely serum or animal component free. So I think a really transformative way of looking at this is the whale industry. It was the biggest, most lucrative industry in the world. It fueled all of our lamps around the world. And then all of a sudden, the advent of kerosene, basically in about a 10-year period of time, completely eliminated the whaling industry. We almost wiped the whales off the face of the earth just from the single industry fueling our lamps. We think that there's a possibility of feeding plants to cellular agriculture. We can greatly decrease the greenhouse gas emissions, greenhouse gas emissions, water use, all of that, just by a single factory being scaling up to that 66,000 kilograms of meat production would basically be like reducing all of the CO2 emissions of taking every car off the face of the earth. This one's not quite showing up, but similar approaches to this. There's kind of an ick factor when it comes to cellular agriculture that we're going to have to combat. But when you really look at what it is, there are lots of similar things out there, from yeast production to breweries to growing medicine. This has been around. This is kind of off-the-shelf technology. We're not creating something new out there. We're just taking something that's already been out there and using it in a different way. So the safety comparison to this is versus conventional meat. These slides aren't quite showing up right. Is that all of these things that are within meats, from fecal contamination, E. coli, salmonella, all of those that are present that make our foods dangerous and spoil them. In conventional meat, they're all there. In clean meat, none of those are there. So as we kind of go through these, we have to look at the conventional out there, and we look at them, and we have deep analytic lab where we can take a piece of Otoro tuna and run it through, and we can look at the volatiles and kind of go, what are these flavor compounds coming off of it? How can we mimic these flavor compounds with plants? What are these tuna eating to give it this unique flavor? So then we can go back to the plant life and go, how can we find things within plants to feed to the cells to get this unique flavor and texture? So this is our idea for the future farm here. One thing about meat production is that for every 1 pound of meat produced, there's about 9 pounds of manure. It takes about 16 calories in to get 1 calorie out. So in our future farm here, all of those large-scale tanks there in the middle are our bioreactors growing the meat and then producing meat out of the other side. Behind that is where we will have our filtration, where the only waste we'll have will be the spent media, where we'll then recycle that and put it back in with new protein components from the plant life. This is a picture of the meat being produced out of the bioreactors here that are about 8 stories tall. And then the last is enable others, where, again, we can't do this without chefs looking at their food a little bit differently, looking at their broccoli and going, why does broccoli kind of have a meaty flavor to it? What are the compounds of broccoli? And really thinking about their food in a different way to develop completely new menu items, completely new things to really help solve this problem. I think one thing that from CIA that really stuck with me was in the elevator there at CIA here in Greystone, is as you're running the elevator up, the quote from Brillat Savarin, the discovery of a new dish does more for the happiness of humankind than the discovery of a new star. That's kind of what we do every day, is discover new dishes and need everybody's help to make it. Have a little video. This is some of the people that are already helping us do this right now out there in the world, and I have a little video to show you about cellular agriculture.
We've all been there, right? In the grocery store. Oh, I'll just buy this meat. And there it is. And all we have to do is buy it. We don't have to think about what it took to make that chicken in that nice packaging. But the reality of the way that it came about, it's incredibly unsustainable. And that's one of the biggest problems facing humanity right now. But we figured out a way to solve it. The whole idea is that that chicken in itself has an unlimited source of itself, and there is a way where you can take just a handful of cells and keep growing them essentially infinitely. For those very first cells, it was important to us how we got the cells, not just that we got the cells. We came up with the idea to use one feather from the single best chicken that we could find.
We picked out a really nice looking chicken that had a really nice clean white feathers, a healthy comb and wattle.
Caleb happened to have the infrastructure to create a new chicken coop. So we put our special little chicken in there.
My first reaction to this project was like, what are these people doing? That's kind of weird. But in all honesty, people are gonna eat meat, and one feather from one of my chickens could be the catalyst that feeds the world. first thing we need to do is we need to identify a cell that we are going to use as the basic starter material. And then what we need to do is find a food for it to grow in. So we have to identify the right set of nutrients that will cause the cells to multiply, but not just multiply, but do so quickly and into high densities.
Those nutrients are going to be obtained from plants. Animals in nature eat plants, right? And I don't think that there's another company that has this extensive knowledge base and experience with plants and their protein components that will also be able to test this in actually growing cells.
It's a perfect extension to apply the data that we get from those discoveries and using them in ways that we've never seen used before in the world.
One of the biggest points of comparison between what we're doing and the old way of doing things is food safety. And when you make that comparison, the difference is staggering. To eat real, actual meat without causing all this harm to the planet and to animals, that's what clean meat is.
The chicken was handed off to me, and for this first prototype, I said to myself, I'm gonna make the best chicken nuggets ever.
Wake up, I wanna lift you up, I wanna dress you up, let's be friends.
It was an out-of-body experience to sit there and eat a chicken, but have the chicken that you're eating running around in front of you. You don't imagine doing something like that. But then you have this realization that we've figured out how life really works, and now we don't need to cause death in order to create food. And we're gonna have to do it if we want to continue living on this planet.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And so again, we can't do this by ourselves. So really rethink your food and think about what's in that bean or that leaf or that plant. And yeah, we need to do this together. Thank you.
You know when you have that friend and it's your friend's birthday and you promise them you're not going to make a big deal of it, but you do it anyways? It is our next speaker's 35th birthday, and we're so excited to celebrate with him. So before he takes the stage, Greg Dollarhide is a man of many lives and great experience. He's been the CEO of over 8 companies, the CFO of 2 publicly traded companies. He's currently the executive chairman at Zoe's Kitchen, and before that was the chief energizing officer at Veggie Grill, a really cool plant-forward based concept. So I will let Greg take the stage, and happy birthday.
Yeah, another tour around the planet. Goes faster every year I get older, as you know. Little background again. We went through this yesterday. I think I've made my career out of finding things. The wave. What's the wave? Easier to ride the wave in a bigger wave in the direction it's going, rather than trying to fight the wave. And so what have the waves been? If we go back to the 80s, TGI Fridays was the wave for the baby boomers. And in the 90s at Baja Fresh, the wave was, let's make Mexican food fresh. This gloppy, cheesy plate of blah that came out of El Torito and others, okay, while satisfying, was not really clean and not the way the world really should experience the great flavors and foods that come out of Mexico. So Baja Fresh was that, and my goal and job was to raise money, private equity, take companies like this, grow them, let the team make some money, make money for other people, and then go do the next one. So we sold that one to Wendy's, and they wanted to capture Baja in a jar, so to speak. And of course, that didn't really work, and they paid $285 million for it. As we talked about this morning, it's big food, buying small food, and they sold it 2 years later for $31 million. So that's quite a discount to spend that kind of money, and then 2 years later, write off that much. So it really says, what about culture and restaurants and people and the like, that it's really a far cry away from what we've seen today, this inspiring, mind-numbing presentations of my brain hurts from this morning, taking in all this information and what the future is going to look like. So I'm going to like dumb it down a little and just talk about how I look at food trends and how we try to roll it out and make money doing it and employ people and also bring something great to market. So we talked about this yesterday, just to bring it up again: environment, shared values, technology, and culture. Environment, go to Veggie Grill. Veggie Grill is 100% plant-based, vegan restaurant chain. And it came out of the ground saying, we're vegan. Okay? We're vegan, and we're better for you. It'll lower your cholesterol. And the founders came out with this, which caught some a fair amount of press, but didn't capture a lot of people. So there was initial buzz and then kind of a quieting off period. But we did have a real halo, Veggie Grill. So it just immediately said healthy, good for the environment, sustainability. People gave us all that just in our name. We didn't have to go say anything. We got that. That's a great place to start with the buyer, the consumer, in that kind of equity. Shared values was kind of interesting, though, because we had a group of our guests who were hardcore vegan, okay, and we had a group of our guests who just wanted to eat better, okay. And the thing about vegans is they'll eat anything as long as it doesn't have animals in it. I mean, like macaroni and cheese, I love it. Indulgent, great. And possibly the only way Veggie Grill could have come to market was with an indulgent point of view. Because if it came with a stir-fry mung bean, green, gold Buddha in the corner, it would have been just another veggie place, right, with veggie people with Birkenstocks. But the values got to be interesting, and in Q&A we can go into a little bit more. But what really helped Veggie Grill was technology. And the Gardein group, Eve at Gardein, created a chicken patty that was unlike anything that had come before. A lot of people have tried to do these chicken nuggets and stuff like that. But this was incredibly yummy, had the right flavor profile, fooled your tongue, fooled your whole mouth, and you thought this was a fried chicken patty. And we just had to layer in vegan elements around it, right? And we'll talk about that in a second. So technology has gone a long way, and supply chain has gone a long way to make Veggie Grill able to even come to market. The first one was culture, and also culture. So if you say, like, I'm a vegan, you know how you go to a cocktail party, you know how you can tell a vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you. Right? And there was this like radical fringe kind of thing that we were dealing with, and they were very, very vociferous. You get them on social, they are much more likely to share, tweet, text, igram, whatever, than the average person, because they're very, very invested in that value set they've got. So we started in 2011. I took over the company. We started growing, and Forks Over Knives came out, China study. I mean, we had all this awareness, and sales just started going up effortlessly. It was amazing. And then 2013, we let our nutritionals out in the market, and that was whoa. So all of the vegans were like, okay, yeah, whatever. I already kind of knew it wasn't. But the people that were there for the health halo, like, wait a minute, this has a lot of calories in it. That kale salad has a lot of oil in it. Well, this isn't healthy. And our comp store sales went down from +5 to -15 in about 8 weeks. Whoa, right? I mean, like a whole swath of our base just took off. So talk about one of those holy shit moments. You're your CEO, you got a lot of money invested, a lot of other people's money invested. We better go do some work. And so we went and did some work about, can we get them back? How do we get them back? What do we have to charge and promote to get them back? Okay? Or do we even ever want them back? Is there another user group that maybe we should go after with more intensity? Because we can't wholly change this food back to just green salads and capture the market. So what we discovered that there was a triangle of eating, okay, which is, we all know. And let's say the triangle is the cleanest thing you could eat, vegan at the top, and carnivores, carnivores. That everybody's negative on carnivores, or at least inside the veggie umbrella. And so what we were doing is we were marketing to vegans and vegetarians, okay, which was a big mistake. Okay? There weren't enough of them. As you can see by this pyramid, this is relational to how many people there are. And in doing our research, we found that, okay, carnivores are going to be carnivores. That's what they do. Okay? And there are omnivores, flexitarians, you fill in the blanks. Then there's the aspirational, yeah, I want to eat better. I don't really know how I eat better, and you saw Amy's slide about, yeah, I want to eat less meat, I want to eat more plants, but, you know, how do I really do it? You go to the grocery store aisle, and it's broccoli, and it's cauliflower, and it's raw. That's a chunk of population. Where did they live? Where do you think they lived? They lived in New York, San Francisco, LA, Chicago, Austin, Texas, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Boulder, Colorado. So, okay, so let's change our development strategy and start going where these, not just all millennials, but where these people that are basically positive went. So, because the market was larger than we thought. But we also discovered that these people they had a different archetype. Now, archetype, you got demographics, right? Money, income, and education. You got psychographics. Okay, I have two households have the same income and the same, two households have the same. What's on? It's on again? Whoa, it's on. Okay. Is that good? Okay, I'll try not to blow up your ears here. Hold it out like Madonna. Anyways, an archetype turns out to be, it's like your suit of clothes. You go in your closet. One, two, and two. So this switch is kind of busted. Here we can try it. Okay. Sorry, guys. No. 1, 2, 1, 2. What do you do? I think, can you guys hear me? Yeah, because I'm loud enough to do this. And don't worry about it. Let's drop the mic. Anyways, so an archetype is like you're closing your closet. You go into your closet, and you're going to, today it's 5 o'clock in the morning, you're a runner. So you cover your runner, set clothes. And another night, you're a mom who's going out with the girls, and you're going to a restaurant. You have that set of clothes. Well, an archetype is kind of the same. So not all, you can't get at this by demographics and psychographics. You got to get at it by headsets. What's in their headset? So we started to identify archetypes. And there's a bunch of archetypes. One of which is prescriptives. Who are prescriptives? Well, prescriptives are people that you can think of food as medicine. And that goes from, millennials to baby boomers. Food is medicine, right? And so I'm one of those kind of people. I'm one of my archetypes. And I am really into what blueberries do and what walnuts are going to do. Test. And what walnuts are going to do for me, and keep going. Okay. And one of the key archetypes we found were the bougie bohemians. And if you look at these photographs, it kind of makes sense. I met this guy, Healthy is the New Gangsta. I met him getting off a plane at LAX. I'm like, I just got to take a picture of your T-shirt. Tell me why you put that on. And he was a vegetarian. Okay. And he gave me a story. But basically, the green bubbles are aspirational elements. And the purple bubble is going to be supportive elements. So in other words, this archetype is looking for mindfulness. They want pleasure, vitality. The bougie bohos, this is kind of how they see this archetype for themselves. And so we said, okay, we got to make sure we know who those people are. The next group. I have machinery to do. Next group was recovering carnivores. This is one of my favorite. See, if you look at this photograph of the steak and the vegetables, it kind of identifies the category, which is, okay, I'm still going to have my meat, but I'm going to just start adding more vegetables in some form or fashion. Maybe cut back on the potato chips. But I don't know how to do it. Ergo, this woman starts the book, Laura Kirklock, Veggies for Carnivores. And that's what most people who are carnivores think of. They're in a grocery store line. They see all that veggie, and they're like, what do I do with all this? And so the business is doing a great job right now of working with recovering carnivores. And it starts with chefs, but it's also McVean Burger, right? So the whole hierarchy in the restaurant business now is addressing this, and they're figuring it out. Because the recovering carnivores are real. When we did a survey, part of the survey work we did, we said, okay, what are you really looking for and in us? And number one, avoid artificial ingredients. That was the highest pick. Above avoid meat, calorie food, animal products, sugar, salt, gluten. Okay, this was now Veggie Grow customers. This is, I think, 2,200 people. Yeah. So the N squared value is pretty good. Avoid artificial ingredients. And this was in 2013. That was 4 years ago. So you get the idea where this is going. I want to eat cleaner, and cleaner, I want to eat healthy, and I want to also eat no artificial ingredients. So I wondered how that's going to be juxtaposed against cellular meat that's grown in a tube. We'll see how that plays out in the long run. But this was our first item we came to market with, the Santa Fe Crispy Chicken. This was by Gardein, and it's a fried chicken sandwich with avocado and jardinera and onions and unbelievable. 11 years ago, still going strong, still one of the top items at Veggie Grow. And it is, the form factor has half to do with it. It's the fact that, wow, tastes like crispy chicken. I can't believe it's not chicken. Or people eat it and go, well, you're vegan, but you have chicken. Because it's that good. And that's technology at work in this category. So I tell you what, millions and millions of dollars of profit off this one item. We also want to have some fun with promotion, so we come to market with different fun things. So we call this the Bad Boy Burger, and it was a limited time offer. We took our quinoa burger and we just sauced it up, jalapeno, sriracha sauce blend, and we promoted it as bad to the bun. But the Bad Boy Burger really spiked. We saw it started to level off, and then we said, okay, 2 more weeks, pull it, we'll do something else. So we do seasonal menus. But the form factor has a lot to do with vegetarian, plant-based food. Okay, that's why the Impossible Burger works so well. I'll get to that in a second. But it's got to have flavor, and in our category, it has to be fun to talk about. Okay, so all you doing menus out there, you want to keep it fun to talk about. This is another one. We had this pudding. We had pudding. It was on a kid's plate, and we had this unknown deep following for pudding. We took it off the menu because it was too hard to make. You know, you get tofu and you got to blend it, and it's a lot of work at the back of the house. And we got all this input from guests. Oh my God, why'd you get rid of the pudding? I was like, it's for kids. Why are you writing us? Your kid telling this? No, they were eating it, and it was inexpensive. So I said, okay, we'll bring it back. We're going to bring it back more expensive and with more panache. So we brought it back as a parfait, and again, we did it for about a year. It took off, then it stayed by, started to drop off. Okay, try something new. But coming to market, this doesn't have any technology in it other than the Oreos are vegan, the chocolate sauce is vegan, and everything about that pudding is vegan. And so you really have to think, you know, you got to work hard to get some of these food items to taste like the other product. But that's going to change with guys like Tom at the Hampton Creek. They're just going to put it through the glopita machine. It's going to come out as ice cream. I can't wait. But we also, to make the change, we had to go back to our roots, and no pun intended, and create food that worked for everybody. So we came to market with the quinoa power salad. It's a classic, you know, gluten-free, quinoa-based, but a lot of fresh veggies in it. Avocados. This was in 2014. Avocado was just really starting to ramp. And but it's got fennel and currants and almonds in it. It is, if you just eat this every day, you go live forever. It is a perfect combination of nutrients and protein and carbs and fibers, everything you need. And people figured that out right away, and it was one of our top-selling salads in no time. And then now we have the Beyond Burger, which is similar to the Impossible Foods Burger. We were working with the people over at Ethan Brown over at Beyond Meat, and he kept bringing me burgers. And I said, nah, that's not it. No, yeah, you're close. You know, he had one called The Beast. I'm like, well, I don't know, Veggie Grill, The Beast. I'm not feeling it. Until he said, okay, I've got it. Come on down, El Segundo. You've got to see this. I've been working on this for years. We get down there, and sure enough, I mean, the heme really does work. And it is tricky to cook, as Amy said. But once you get that figured out, it is a home run. We put this in, and our sales went up like 12% across the board. It wasn't It did not exchange. There was not a trade out of something into this. This was incremental sales of 12%. Okay? This burger. And the bleeding thing kind of bugged me because the press picked it up as, oh, the bleeding burger, blah, blah, blah. And that quite doesn't associate well with veggie grill. But it works. But you see all these form factors? Fried chicken sandwich, burgers, people are used to eating. So let's give them plant-based food that they're used to eating. And yes, I really do love the creative things that are being done at Veg and other places. But go back to that potato scallop. It's emulating a great scallop. It's got all the flavor profiles, and that's how we're going to win in plant-based. And that's how Veggie Grill is winning in plant-based. And I think we'll continue to. And we do not need to mow down the Amazon rainforest to create more grazing land. We just don't. It's ridiculous. And over the next 20 years, it's going to be amazing how we're going to be eating. I was sitting on a plane with one guy a number of years ago, and he said, what do you do? I'm Veggie Grill. Oh, well, vegan concept. Oh, vegan. Oh, vegan. God. I said, we had a little chat. I said, let me tell you something. 20 years from now, you're going to be eating it too. And he sort of laughed at me. Yeah, sure. Well, I'll bet he's down there having an Impossible Foods burger right now. Okay, but as people marketing today to the millennials, I tell you, we want it all. We want plant-based. We want gluten-free. We want grain-free. I'm pretty much a grain-free kind of person every once in a while. My girlfriend's totally grain-free. That's a whole other subject. Non-GMO. Can't have GMO. Not sure why, but I don't want it. Low sugar. The low sugar story is my favorite. I was working with a millennial who wanted to have a party for her office. And I know a lot of restaurateurs, and she says, can you find somebody to bring some food over? I suggested one, has Ayurvedic roots and the like, but it's got a wrap. And she goes, oh, wrap? It's got flour? We're trying to stay away from sugar. Okay, so flour equaled sugar to her and her crowd. And it's true. That's how your body metabolizes it. It converts it, insulin spike, the whole thing. So it's common. Low sat fat, of course, and no preservatives. But whoever can do this, just keep this list on your dashboard, and just bring products to market that have all this. No allergens, ready to go. And as long as they have the form factor, you're going to win. You'll make money. Guaranteed. So in closing, my motto, do something good for the people of the planet. Make money. Making money is good, okay, because that perpetuates. If Veggie Grill didn't make money, there wouldn't be a lot of them. We wouldn't be exposing people to great plant-based food. So it's okay to make money. But most importantly, live it up. Have fun doing it.
Thank you again to all of our speakers. I hope you guys enjoyed. We are at the end of this session time-wise, so we'll have just a little time to hang out, check your cell phones. There's coffee outside, and we'll regroup at noon, okay?
Can I do handheld?